Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Crime Rush. I'm Inga and I'm so glad that you clicked on this video. Please be sure to subscribe if you are into all things true crime and also hit that like button to help the channel out. Today I want to talk to you about a case that is considered to be one of the most controversial cases in American history, and that is the case of the Menendez brothers. This is also a case that has people divided. Some people feel like the Menendez brothers should not be in prison. Others feel, on the other hand, that they are rich, spoiled brats that lied about everything and did what they did out of greed and entitlement. Recently, Netflix released a series called Monsters, and this series has caused quite a stir. Please let me know down below if you have watched it, and if so, what did you think about it? I want to talk to you about the series and also some recent developments, but before I do that, I want to go over what happened in real life and the real events that inspired Ryan Murphy to create the series Monsters. And at the very end, I will give you my opinion and tell you what I think about this whole situation. But before we dive in, please note that this content is intended for mature audiences. Also, I get all my information from public sources. You can very easily do your own research and form your own opinions. On the 20th of August 1989, José and Mary Louise Menendez, also known as Kitty, were found brutally murdered in their Hollywood mansion. José and Kitty had been shot multiple times with a shotgun, and Lyle and Erik, their two sons, found them. Soon, Lyle phoned 911.
Beverly Hills emergency?
Yes, police.
What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem?
Sorry, my parents.
Pardon me?
Sorry.
What? Who? Are they still there?
Yes.
The people...
No.
Were they shot?
Hey, man, dude.
Were they shot?
Yes.
They were shot?
Yes.
102 response, 722 North Elmore.
What happened? Hey, stay there, man.
I have a hysterical person on. We're trying to get things further. Other units responding. Is the person still there?
What happened? We have units around. What happened? Who shot who? I don't hear anything. I just came home. You came home and found who shot? Mom and Dad.
You know if they're still in the house, the people that did the shooting.
Get away from him. Okay, hang on. Let me talk to Erik. Who is the person that was shot? My mom and my dad. Your mom and dad? My mom and my dad. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, we're on our way over there with the ambulance. Okay, I gotta go. Okay.
Oh!
Hello, this is police department. Yes. Okay, I want you to come outside. Okay, just come out the front door and my brother.
Heartbreaking, right? Yeah, well, just hold on one moment before you get too lost in those emotions, because soon this story will take an interesting turn. But to make sense of this case, let's first take a look at who José and Kitty Menendez were. José Menendez was a successful businessman who worked in the entertainment industry. He had various executive positions at companies like RCA Records and Carol Co. Pictures. Through his work, he helped these companies achieve significant financial success and signed deals with notable music artists and film stars. And Kitty Menendez was a housewife, a stay-at-home mom. She was also involved in some charities. But it has been reported by many that José was extremely domineering and a typical disciplinarian. He expected a lot from his sons. He pushed them to excel in absolutely everything, sports and academics. Some reports claim that he was actually very unreasonable with the boys and put way too much pressure on them and would berate them if they didn't live up to his expectations. Then regarding Kitty Menendez, a lot of reports from extended family and friends seem to allude to the fact that she resented her sons and felt they were the reason why she couldn't achieve what she wanted in life. But then there are also reports that claim that Kitty was a loving and supportive mom and wife. We know that Erik and Lyle grew up extremely privileged. The Menendez family had a lot of money. They lived in a luxurious mansion in Beverly Hills, California, and to the outside world, it looked like this was just the perfect family. But as we have discovered in so many other cases, things aren't always what they seem. You see, when José and Kitty were married, Lyle and Erik didn't exactly look like the grieving sons for long. Police soon became suspicious because the boys spent approximately $700,000 in the months following their parents' murders. This included luxury cars, designer clothing, Rolex watches, and they even made investments in various ventures. Their spending patterns were one of the factors that raised suspicion among investigators and contributed to their eventual arrest. After the murders, Erik Menendez had booked a session with a psychologist by the name of Dr. José Menendez. And in one of those sessions, Erik confessed to Dr. José Menendez that he and Lyle were responsible for their parents' deaths. Due to confidentiality practices between therapists and their clients, Dr. Oziel did not go to the police, but he began to record their sessions. But Dr. Oziel had a secret. He was having an affair with a woman called Judalon Smith, and he confided in her and told her everything the Menendez brothers had told him, and also that he was recording their sessions. So when Dr. Oziel decided to call things off with Judalyn, she went straight to the police and told them everything she knew. The brothers were arrested for their parents' murder in March of 1990. In their first trial in 1993, Lyle and Erik testified that their father had SA'd them as two juries, one for each brother, listened on. They said this abuse, which their mother had been aware of, made them fear for their lives, and that's why they ended their parents' lives. That first trial resulted in a deadlocked jury for each brother. I want to play quite a few clips for you from the trial and the brothers' testimonies about what they claimed happened to them. But I have to give you a major trigger warning here because this is extremely upsetting to listen to. Please proceed with caution.
You had mentioned in your testimony yesterday something about Vaseline. Was Vaseline something that figured into the sexual activity between yourself and your father?
Yes.
And what specific type of the sexual activity did Vaseline figure into?
The actual.
Was Vaseline ever a part of the rough sex?
Only in respect to actual sex, but hardly ever.
What about with respect to certain implements? Was it ever used for that?
Yes, it was used rarely, but not very often.
And with respect to actual sex, Mr. Menendez, I think you've already testified, that was still a component when you lived in California. Is that right?
Yes.
And when was the last episode of actual sex between yourself and your father in California?
In May 1989.
And was there some rule or directive of your father's having to do with Vaseline?
Yes.
And what was that rule or directive?
That I was supposed to leave it in my room, and I wasn't supposed to remove it from there.
And how would it get into your room?
Well, he brought it in very early in Pennington when I was 12 years old, and left it there. And I was told not to touch it again, and he did the same in California. He did the same in Princeton.
And when you were living in Beverly Hills, Now, you testified that the last sexual activity with your father was in August of 1989. Where did it occur?
In my bedroom.
In Beverly Hills?
Yes.
When did it occur?
In August.
I know when.
It occurred before the talk, right after we got back from Kalamazoo.
Okay. And you got back from Kalamazoo somewhere around the 9th or 10th?
Yes.
So was it within a day or two?
Yes.
And what type was it?
It was knees.
Mr. Menendez, did you ever question in your mind whether or not you were gay?
Yes.
And why was that, if you know?
It's because I didn't understand what was happening with my father.
And what do you mean you didn't understand it?
In California, I didn't understand why it didn't hurt so much and anymore, and I didn't understand how. I just felt like I was having more friends because I had a car and I was able to play tennis with them, and I was a little bit more independent, and I felt like I was supposed to be stronger, and I would still be doing this with Dad, and I wouldn't scream at him or fight back with him because I was afraid, but I didn't. I still thought I should have, and I would still be able to have an orgasm.
Okay, so those things, those factors made you wonder if, in fact, maybe you were gay. Maybe that's why this is happening. Maybe that's why I don't resist. Maybe that's why it doesn't hurt. Is that what you mean?
Yes, I didn't understand.
Did you love your mom and dad?
Yes.
And on August 20th, 1989, did you and your brother kill your mother and father?
Yes.
Did you kill them for money? Is that no?
No.
Did you kill them because you wanted to pay them back for the way they had treated you?
Overall. No.
Why did you kill your parents?
Because we were afraid.
Now, when you said that your dad would come in periodically and just take pictures of you, the two photographs here, Mark, one which you've identified as yourself and the other one as Erik. Our children without clothes also appear to be children without clothes. Is that correct?
Yes.
And when he would take photographs of you of this nature, would he seem to be directed at photos of your faces?
No. We would take photographs of your genital area, the lower half of your body, or you bending over, or just different parts of your positions is what I never really knew.
Because you never saw them afterward, or is that yes? And between the ages of 6 and 8, did your father have sexual contact with you?
Yes.
And how did it start?
Just started with, after sports practices, he would massage me, and we would have these talks, and he would show me, and he would fondle me, and he would ask me to do the same with him, and I would touch him, and we would undress.
Where would this take place?
In my bedroom.
And how often would this happen?
Like 2 or 3 times a week.
And And for how long did this happen?
Not too long. It began to change.
When did it begin to change?
I'm not sure exactly at what time, but almost close to when I was 7.
And how did it change?
Just became more involved.
What do you mean more involved?
We would be in the bathroom, and he would put me on my knees, and he would guide me, all my movements, and I would have oral sex with him.
Did you want to do this? At some point, did he do some other things to you?
Yes.
What else did he do to you?
He used objects,
What kind of objects?
a toothbrush, and some sort of shaving utensil brush.
And what would he do with the toothbrush?
Well, in the bedroom, we'd have what we called object sessions, and just slide my pants down or take my pants off. Sometimes it would be for a short period of time, sometimes longer. Just lay me on the bed and he'd have a tube of Vaseline, and he just played with me.
And was there some point in time when he decided to use something besides the toothbrush?
Yes.
And did he try to infiltrate you with something else?
He did.
And what was it?
He raped me.
Did you cry?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Were you scared?
Very.
Did you ask him not to?
Yes.
How did you ask him not to?
I just told him, I don't. I just told him that I didn't want to do this, and that it hurt me. And he said that he didn't mean to hurt me. And he loved me.
Was that important to you? That he loved you?
Yes, very. But I still didn't want to do it.
Did you tell your mom?
Yes.
What did you say to your mom?
I told her to tell Dad to leave me alone. And he keeps touching me.
What did your mom say?
She told me to stop it. And that I was exaggerating. And that my dad has to punish me when I do things wrong. And she told me that he loved me.
What did he tell you about telling people?
He just said that it was our secret, that bad things would happen to me if I told anybody. And I told him I never would.
How old were you when this stopped?
8.
So during the time between 6 and 8, when this was going on, did you tell your brother?
No.
Did you do something to your brother?
Yes.
What did you do to your brother?
I took him out to the woods whenever I felt, I don't know, I took him out sometimes, and I took a toothbrush also, and I played with Erik in the same way. And I'm sorry.
Wow, that is really difficult to listen to and just so inconceivable. But unfortunately, I know that we are all aware that this sort of thing happens. Nowadays, I believe we have a much better understanding of abuse, especially when it comes to men. But back in the day, I don't think it was so well understood, and it was also never spoken of. But please let me know what you thought of their testimonies and if you believe the brothers. Lyle and Erik's second trial began in 1995, this time with just one jury for the both of them. In this joint trial, the judge limited the defense's ability to introduce SA allegations. Ultimately, the brothers were each convicted of first-degree murder in 1996. Although the death penalty was a possibility, they each received 2 consecutive life sentences without parole. The brothers are now in their 50s, and it has been 35 years since they murdered their parents, and they are still in prison. While incarcerated, both even got married. Lyle was first married to Anna Erickson from 1996 to 2001. He then married his current wife, Rebecca, in 2003. Erik wed his wife, Tammy, in 1999. Erik even told People in 2005, quote, "Tammy's love has propelled me to become a better person. I want to be the greatest possible husband to her." End quote. While in prison, both brothers have pursued educational opportunities, including earning college degrees. They have also been involved in various activities and programs offered by the prison, such as art and writing workshops. They have also continued to fight for a new trial, claiming new evidence and ineffective legal representation. Their appeals have garnered significant public attention and raised questions about the fairness of their original trial. Unfortunately, they were unsuccessful until now. You see, last year, something unexpected happened. A man by the name of Roy Rosello came forward and claimed that José Menendez drugged and raped him. Roy Rosello, now 51, is a former member of the iconic 1980s boy band Menudo. José Menendez helped to sign the boy band and spent a lot of time with them. This new information has brought the Menendez case back into the public eye. But then something else happened too. A series called Monsters, The Menendez Murders, came out on Netflix. It offers a detailed look at the case, delving into the lives of the Menendez family, the investigation, the trials, and the aftermath. It features interviews with key figures involved in the case, including lawyers, investigators, and family members. And everyone is buzzing about the series, including me. Now there is another documentary that came out on Netflix that has new audio recordings. And don't tell me that the public and the media have no influence on cases, because what do you know? the DA has decided to take another look at the evidence in this case.
Now to the Menendez Brothers case, we're hearing new audio of them speaking from behind bars as the Los Angeles District Attorney says he'll review new evidence while considering resentencing the brothers. Dan Abrams is standing by after this report from Kana Whitworth. Good morning, Kana.
Yes, George, good morning to you. So now in their 50s, Erik and Lyle Menendez are featured in a new Netflix documentary reflecting on the trial that put them behind bars for life with no possibility of parole.
I remember when the verdict came down, it was first degree. It was so daunting that I was in shock.
For the first time in 30 years, Lyle and Erik Menendez is speaking out amid renewed interest in the infamous murder case that captured the world's attention.
I went to the only person that had ever helped me, that had ever protected me. And then ultimately this happened. He was arrested because of me. I wanted to die. In a way, I did not protect Lyle.
Audio tapes are part of the Menendez brothers' new Netflix documentary. The siblings who shot and killed their parents in their Beverly Hills home in 1989, opening up about what they said on the witness stand in the historic televised trial. Erik reacting to his brother's testimony.
I remember when he apologized to me on the stand for molesting me. He had never said he was sorry.
The trial making headlines again 3 decades later as Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon's office evaluates new alleged evidence and public calls for resentencing.
We're not saying that there was anything wrong with the original trial. We have been given evidence.
Famed defense attorney Mark Garagos claims Erik sent his cousin a letter detailing the abuse 9 months prior to the murders. Garagos also says a member of the popular 80s boy band Menudo, Roy Rasulo, says he too was molested by Erik and Lyle's father in the family home. Adding to a growing call for the alleged abuse the boys suffered at the hands of their own father to be reevaluated, they claim it went on for years and that they feared for their own lives.
It was a culture of silence, and that culture of silence existed up until the 90s, and I think it finally got broken in the 2000s.
Now, prosecutors maintain the brutal murders were motivated by money. The next hearing is November 26th, and the DA says the final decision will be his. Guys.
Okay, Kana, thanks very much.
So what do I think? Well, let me start off first by talking about the series Monsters. I absolutely loved it and I definitely recommend it. It is tough to watch at times because there are some extremely upsetting things, but I definitely recommend it. You should watch it because just like everything else that Ryan Murphy touches, Monsters was absolutely superb. I think they did a wonderful job of showing both sides, Kitty and José's side, and then also Lyle and Erik's side. I think they might have been a little bit off on the timeline and perhaps the order in which things happened, but overall it was done as accurately as possible, I believe. They went into so much detail in this series that I actually had to look up some things while I was watching it. For example, there was this one scene where Kitty was pulling off Lyle's hairpiece and he was actually bald, something that I didn't know. And I looked it up and I found that the brothers actually confirmed that this really happened. And I didn't notice it before, but now when I go back and watch the real trial, I can actually see that Lyle is wearing a hairpiece. Also, the actors and actresses did a phenomenal job. Javier Bardem played the role of José, and wow, give that man some type of award. And Chloe Sevigny played the role of Kitty, which could not have been an easy character to play, but she was excellent. Cooper Koch and Nicholas Chavez played the roles of Erik and Lyle, and can we just take a look at the resemblance here? Great casting done, and all the actors I just mentioned were amazing. Interestingly though, Erik has released a statement about the series through his wife, and he said, quote, "Vile and appalling character portrayals of Lyle and me, particularly of Lyle, who was the target of a caricature that was rooted in blatant lies." When I saw this, I thought, you should actually be grateful, because I really believe that this series played a large part in them being able to fight for their freedom once more. I understand that he may not appreciate it the way they portrayed Lyle, but I think it made it more real. But just because they were spoiled rich kids, do you think it's not possible for them to have been SA'd? Do I think they were spoiled? Absolutely I do. But I also don't think that that makes it impossible for them to have been SA'd. Both things can be true at the same time. In fact, I think it is very possible that Kitty and José compensated for certain situations with materialistic things. This series really made me, along with a lot of people, think about the SA and what impact that would have on children like Lyle and Erik over time. If this truly happened to them, does that mean that we could come to terms with what they did to their parents? It's a tough question to answer, but let me give you my opinion. And like I've said before, if you feel a different way or have another opinion, please tell me. I'm not going to fight with you about it. You are more than welcome to voice your thoughts and opinions. But this is just what I think. I happen to believe Erik and Lyle, and I think their mom, Kitty, was aware of the abuse. I only shared bits and pieces of the trial with you in this video, but I've watched the entire trial, and I watched it intently, and I focused on their body language, their demeanor, the way they said things, and I truly believe them. They go into so much detail. I mean, it's incredibly hard to watch, but it also makes you realize that this type of detail that they go into, only a victim of that sort of thing would think or go there in their minds or come up with these plans in their situation. And if you know what they say in the trial, you know what I mean. There's a part where Erik actually said that he put cinnamon in his dad's food, hoping that it would make his taste better. I mean, it's incredibly upsetting. And in another part, he says he started eating a lot of lemon or throwing it over his food, hoping that it would take the taste away. I mean, who thinks of that? Only victims really think of that. And I know a lot of you are going to say, well, maybe they read about it or read another victim story. Hey, it's all possible. But I'm just saying, after watching the entire trial and really looking at it and watching it intently, I truly believe the brothers. I was also thinking back to the murder and how it happened. Absolutely brutal. I mean, you know, when a is involved, it's gonna be messy. It was brutal. But that also tells me that there was a lot of anger there. This was not just normal teenage anger. This was anger that had been building up for years. And I believe that if they had done this for money, the crime scene would have looked a lot different. But the question is, do I believe that this excuses what they did? Absolutely not. I don't believe in taking justice into my own hands. I believe that we have laws and rules in place for a reason. And if someone does something to me, that does not give me the right to take their life. But I do believe that if I were a jury member for the Menendez Brothers case, I would have voted for murder. They would have done their time in prison, but they would have been out by now. What is my hope for the next trial? Well, it really all depends. I think it is a good idea to maybe look into what the brothers' time in prison has been like. Have they committed any crimes while they were in prison, or have they been model inmates? I would also feel more at ease if they did a thorough mental evaluation on each brother. And if all of that looks good and they don't pose a threat to anyone, I don't believe I would have an issue with them being released. That's just my opinion. Don't attack me for it, because I'm dying to know yours, whatever it is. Let me know what you think. And also, tell me, did you watch the series and the documentary? And if so, what did you think? Do you believe that Lyle and Erik should be released? And what about this whole thing about Kim Kardashian getting involved and meeting with the brothers? This thing is blowing up like crazy, and I, for one, cannot wait to see what happens in the new trial in November of this year. But thank you so much for watching and for all of the support. I really appreciate it. Please make sure that you stay safe, and I will see you in the next one.